I just celebrated an anniversary recently with my husband. We've been married now for 5 years. Send help. No, it's great. People think that being with the same person for a long time is boring, but I don't think those people have ever tried anal. After eating Chinese food. You want to spice things up. And by things, I mean his dick. New slogan in our house, no backdoor dickin' after Kung Pao chicken. We did also recently just get a Tempur-Pedic mattress. Anyone have one of these? Bunch of pores, okay. All right, here's what they don't tell you about Tempur-Pedic mattresses is that they eliminate shock as well as your sex life. Because on a regular mattress, as you all know, you're like up, down, up, down, up, down. And then on a Tempur-Pedic mattress, it's like you go down and you stay there. Like fucking on a Tempur-Pedic mattress is like an Olympic level sport that I'm uniquely unqualified for because I have hip dysplasia. So if you guys are thinking about like a German Shepherd at the end of its life just like dragging its hind leg, that's your girl. Hard to keep shit popping when the only thing popping is your hip. I have been with my husband now for 7 years total, but prior to that, all of my relationships expired quicker than milk because my favorite part of the relationship was the chase. Like, there's nothing more interesting in a person than if they're not interested in me, right? Like, you're gonna block me on Instagram? I'm gonna wait in your bushes in a wedding dress. Fuck with me. No, but the thing that sucks about being married is your partner is just always into you. You know, my husband just like follows me around the house with a boner. Like he's having a going out of jizness sale. I'm like, hey man, could you not? You know, could you act like a little less into me? And he's like, but we're married. Like, what do you want, a divorce? And I'm like, now you're talking dirty. I heard from a guy recently that I used to hook up with in the NBA, and I thought he was going to be calling to talk about the glory days, the hoary days. But instead, he called to tell me that now he's a Jehovah's Witness, and I should repent. And I started laughing. And he was like, why are you laughing? And I was like, this is just really hard to hear coming from someone who peed in my mouth. And then he said, Brittany, this is life-changing stuff. And I said, so is that threesome we had with your cousin Keith. After I wrote that joke, my husband was like, babe, have you ever Googled how many ex-NBA players are Jehovah's Witnesses? And I was like, no, why? And he's like, there's 2. So when you guys go home tonight and do that Google search, just know, he was the light-skinned one. I do feel bad for my husband, though. You guys are like, we do too. No, because I got sober in our marriage, and I used to be a very frisky drinker. You know, I used to come home from happy hour and bust through the door like the fucking Kool-Aid man. Be like, my neck, my back, lick my pussy and my crack. And now I'm like, if you lick me, I'll call the police. I do give him credit, though. He does try and keep my inner hoe alive. The other day we were stuck in traffic, and he was like, yo, babe, give me a roadhead. I was like, I'm not going to do that. He was like, why not? And I was like, it's broad daylight. We're in standstill traffic. Everyone would see me. He's like, man, you're no fun anymore. And I was like, I'm driving. Simply cannot. I did quit drinking, though, but I wasn't convinced in the beginning that I was an alcoholic because you go to these AA meetings and you hear the craziest shit. Like, the first one I was at, this woman was like, 7 years ago, I was giving myself an abortion in an alley with a water pick. I was like, whoa. You can use a water pick? I could have saved so much money. Talk about a life hack. I do think it's interesting when you want to get an abortion and people come to you with ridiculous reasons why you can't. You know, they'll be like, but what if your kid is the next Lady Gaga or the next Bradley Cooper? And I'm like, well, then the name of this movie is A Star Was Aborted. It gets so much darker. I was talking to my best friend from high school the other day, and she told me that the person that bullied me the most when I was growing up died. And I was like, holy shit. You didn't think that I knew my mom died? And she did kill herself. And this is the part where I have to tell you that I'm okay. She's not. I'm fine, though. Here's the thing. When she was alive, she would always start projects and not finish them. So I do think when she killed herself, we really overlooked the accomplishment of her finally sticking to her guns. Literally. If you didn't like that one, you're gonna hate this one. When you lose someone to suicide, you realize there's no great greeting cards. So I want to start a new greeting card company called Suicidal Sympathies. And the slogan can be like, the only way to get through the dark is to make light of it. And then the cards are gonna say stuff like, hang in there. They went out with a bang. Slit happens. All right, a lot of you guys don't like that, but I think it's a killer idea. I love this shit. So anyway, I'm in therapy. I love therapy and I love my therapist, and every time I see her, I like to tell her, I'm like, you are my most expensive friend. And she's like, we're not friends. And I'm like, you have intimacy issues. She's like, you're projecting. I do like therapy, but I feel like it's a very well-intentioned pyramid scheme, because every time I go to therapy, I come back and I say to my husband, I'm like, my therapist and I think that you need to go to therapy. So my husband finally decided to go to therapy. And I texted my therapist, I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, who are we gonna send him to? And I'm not kidding you when I say, she sent me the hottest person I've ever seen in my entire life. This bitch was wearing a choker in her professional headshot. Nothing says I suck dick to trick my Fitbit. Quite like a choker. I was like, never mind, babe, you don't have to go to therapy. We are gonna have much bigger issues if you spend an hour a week with this slut. We're good. My husband and I don't want kids because we want money and sleep and for our marriage to work. And I don't want a kid because I'm still raising my husband. Like the other day, he scratched his legs until they bled. I was like, babe, you gotta use lotion. He was like, I don't believe in lotion. I was like, it's not a belief system, it's science. Like, if you were black, you'd get it because you'd be ashy. And he's like, if I were black, you'd love me more. And I was like, that's also science. It's really hard not wanting a kid, though, because there's nothing my dad wants more than a grandchild. You know, he's very pro-life, and I'm very pro-my life, which doesn't include kids. And I think the pro-life logic is interesting because they think abortion is murder, which is fine. But by that logic, our miscarriage is suicide. And I know a lot of you want me to kill that joke, but I think there's life there, and when there's life, there's hope. All right, you guys have had a lot of fun. I'm Brittany Schmitt. Thank you so much.